Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. I am here with Coach John Brent.
Man, and I'm here with the vet, Mr. N. Griffin.
Man, I like that shirt you got on.
Oh, yeah. Reagan Bush.
Yeah,
when they used to dominate, when the Republicans dominated.
Yeah, yep, I like that a lot. Yeah. So, hey, I heard some people bragging. I actually was at the Alamo the other day. They changed a lot of the Alamo, and I saw a lady up there wearing a Beto hat.
I thought you were going to tell me you saw Beto walking around in a dress.
No, she was down by the Riverwalk, and not all Beto people do this, but I will let you know that she was being a Karen to the manager.
Oh, no. Imagine that.
So it doesn't surprise me one bit. So we're going to talk about a little bit about Governor Abbott and the wannabe governor, the two-time loser, presidential loser, and the senatorial loser from the state of Texas, Beto O'Rourke.
Yeah, he reminds me of the male version of Elizabeth Warren for some reason. Just the kind of the way the talk just drives my head go ding, 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 ding.
Elizabeth Warren, AOC, Hillary, and Chuck Schumer all rolled in one.
Maybe. He just sounds like when he's talking, he's just trying to make you believe in him. So anyway, so these two are running, and I do not like Beto. I heard some people say, well, he plead out of his DUI, and he plead out of this, and I got all that, but, probably shouldn't have been drinking, driving. Kids on the street don't like that stuff anyhow. But moving along, it's just, irregardless to me, I really don't like the guy. Yeah.
He don't stand for what I feel Texans stand for.
No, it was hard. That's why he didn't get any votes to be president, because he doesn't really stand for what America believes in.
Yeah.
Mostly. Now we do have this swing, a more progressive swing happening at some states, and even in Texas with Austin expanding, people coming from all these liberal states down to Austin and Houston and even Dallas area. But I still don't think when most Texans think of Texan, they wouldn't think of Beto O'Rourke as the leader of Texas.
Not at all.
But there's going to be people that vote for him just because he doesn't have an R by his name.
There will be people that vote for him just because he has that big D behind his name.
Exactly.
And they would vote for any D, no matter who it is. We've seen that. We know that. And there, to be fair, there's some R's that do the same thing.
Sure.
But, standing on bar tables and things like that, I don't know, where's the health sanitation people at on that, because they would have been all over that, and it had been a Republican. CNN would have been all over that with the health sanitation people.
Reminds me of one of those guys of Beavis and Butthead. I can't remember which one.
The blonde.
Okay, he reminds me. He does his mouth, the way he talks.
No, he's the other one. So anyway, but you have that, and then you come to the great state of Texas, and then you tell them, we're going to take your damn guns. And that don't sit well with anybody.
And then you're not. Then we are, and then I'm not.
Yeah, it depends. And then, you go to a town when they have a shooting, and people praise him for this because they praise the D. They don't really praise him. They just praise the D. And the governor's there to talk to the town and console them and to find avenues to get them grief counseling and things. And he wants to make a political stance.
It definitely was a political stance.
Yeah, and it's kind of like coming to, somebody's wedding that you hadn't seen in 20 years, and you want to go up to them about how they didn't pass you the crayon in kindergarten type deal.
Right. Like your ex is getting married 20 years, your ex from 20 years ago, and you show up and you get drunk and you say a speech.
Yeah. But, hey, way to go, Beto. You stood up. Whatever, dude.
And talking about Abbott, I don't have any problem with Abbott. A lot of people had a lot of problem with Abbott, the way he had no COVID, because there's a part of the Texans, especially being, free, and Texas is, we're manly and all this, that we should have never had anything shut down. There should have been never any issue. Just let us do what we want to do. He did about the minimum.
He did.
And a lot of people said, well, we need a new governor, we need a new leader, whatever. So you're going to exchange Abbott for Beto.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think there will be no Republican. I guarantee there's not one Republican in the state of Texas that voted for Greg Abbott last time that will go to the polls this time and go, I'm not going to vote for Abbott, I'm going to vote for Beto O'Rourke.
Well,
not one.
I promise you that. That's a fact. There won't be a single one vote for Beto. And then there's going to be a lot of independents that don't. There will be some that will. And there will be, the community down in Austin, Fort Worth, Dallas, Houston, El Paso, because that's where he came out of, They will.
I guarantee you there won't be any in the valley, the Uvalde area, the Del Rio area, and the southern Texas.
Not at all.
The northeast Texas.
There will not be anybody on the border. I can promise you that.
Oh, there's no doubt.
There's no way they're voting for him.
It'll be 80-20 on the border.
Yeah. So anyway, the bottom line is I just think
Can he win?
he can, let me say this, he can win if there is a famine that takes out half the state of Texas and leaves the urban population there. He can win like that. He can win if, like, the Rio Grande floods the whole valley down there. He can win maybe then.
Well,
But honestly, I don't think he has a shot in hell.
No, I don't either.
It will get, when it comes out, it'll come out like it did with him and Cruz. He'll be within 2 million, and and then we'll hear in the press for the next 6 weeks, Texas has turned purple, when no
Right.
damn well it ain't turned nothing.
Well, and I also think that with him is, can he win? I don't think he can win, but I think what he can do is he can even make the state more divisive.
Yeah, he can do that.
And I think that's part of the play of the Democrats. We can divide enough that sooner or later this red, purple will go to blue. And I think they thought, well, having more and more immigrants come in, that was what it's going to be. But now we see more and more immigrants that are coming in legally, and more immigrants are actually kind of splitting the vote a little bit. I'm not saying they're voting more Republican, but they are,
More voting Republican than they expected.
Correct.
And the other thing is he's got a lot of help, because on the national scene, and we'll cover this in another podcast, but in a national scene, the DNC has pushed a lot of their leaders that are not at the national level to attack DeSantis and Abbott because they see them as a viable target, which I hate to break the news to anybody. If DeSantis, Abbott are caught and run, the whole thing's over with, unless you pull a dark horse that we never heard of out of the DNC to run against them. We're talking close to this, to that.
And that's what I've said in some of our conversation, even online. I said if the 45th president runs again, I believe Biden will be president again. But any other strong Republican runs, it's a landslide.
Yeah, it could be like, I can name 6 of them.
Yeah.
But the Democratic Party has got Gavin Newsom, it's got the mayor of New York, got the mayor of Washington State, it's got other people picking fights with them, DeSantis and Abbott, to try to trickle them down in the public eye.
Well,
and so Beto's reaping the benefits for that, of course. So.
Well, and you also got to look at some of the issues in Texas that are important to Texans. Because we're talking about, this is a governor. This is not even a senator. This is for governor. I mean, Beto, what does he believe on gun rights? What does he believe on abortion? What does he believe on the border? What does he believe on the economy in Texas? Those are things that should be looked at. Now, I'm not saying they will be, because like you said, there'll be so many people just pull the D or pull the R.
Yeah.
But if you look at just for the independents and ones that could sway, his border is just open. His abortion is let women do what they want. Guns is, I want to take your high-powered rifles and stuff away, like AR-15s and stuff like that. He's actually said it. Mm-hmm. And businesses, he wants them to pay more taxes in Texas.
And
we have businesses come here because there's less taxes.
And then one of the things that he's running on, that he's pushed is, and some of it's been misinformation, is the energy in Texas, too. I got it, that needs to be relooked at and all that other stuff, but I don't think it's as important when you have it once every 100 years that happens as the border is, or as these other things.
There's only a few states, if you think about it, because we always say Texas things are bigger in Texas, and there's only a few states in the union that you can even look at and go, when you think of the governor of Texas and the governor of California and maybe the governor of Florida and maybe even New York, that you look at there's a vision of that person. And that vision and that person is not a country boy for Texas, but a good, strong, manly Texas man. Mm-hmm. That's not Beto. I don't know how anybody outside of the 5 cities that you talked about as a majority would vote for him. There's always going to be people like here in East Texas that the Democratic Party, and they're part of the Democratic Party, like the guy that used to be our ag teacher. I'm never going to say his name. He'd vote for anybody no matter what, just so they have the D beside their name. Yeah. But when you look at it from a standpoint of...
Because their mommy told them that.
Yeah, exactly. But, when you look at someone like Texas, you think of... And just because a man's in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter. You look at a strong, manly guy. Let
me just say this. The man in the wheelchair got in a boat and rode the Rio Grande in the wheelchair, in the boat. And how many times, since that is the most passed border in all countries for migrants... Mm-hmm. In the world, how many times the president done that? How many times the vice president's done that? I don't know.
And I tell you, the 2 things I'll say, and this will be the last thing I want to say. Number 1, the boat's there's going to be, if this was a normal, or let's just not say a normal, a kind of a down year for the midterm where it wasn't so volatile, maybe Beto could win because maybe the Republicans don't come out.
Nope.
Republicans are coming
They're
out.
coming out.
Okay. But
Thank you, President. We're coming out.
Right, and you
Yeah.
know he's coming out. And then the second part of it is, if you look at it as Abbott and Beto, I mean, what are you going to do when you start thinking about what you're going to do for school security? What are you going to do for, things like that? I mean, what is Beto's thing for school security? It's just taking guns off the street. I mean, come on now. I mean, we have to be able to work together.
Yeah.
It's just not. He's not that guy.
I just don't see him as the representative for the state of Texas or the person who could lead the state
He's a
of
wimp.
Texas.
Texans don't elect
Yeah,
wimps.
we don't do that.
I mean, even who? What was her name?
Ann Richards.
Ann Richards. She was the toughest of the tough, and
She was
a woman.
Democrat. And,
Exactly.
She was a school teacher.
Hey,
I
she's
have
tough.
a feeling she was the school teacher that grabbed us by the ears and would paddle our butts on the way out.
When is the last governor that you can remember, if you can at all? I mean, I can think from John Connally all the way to Perry and Bush and even Abbott, that they were tough Texans that you knew was a governor of Texas.
All of them were tough.
Right. And
When I see him, I think of the governor on the best little whorehouse in Texas. That is what I think. That is what I think.
or the school board president in a very liberal, Catholic
Yeah.
private school or something. It's
I
just
see
like,
him. I
who
see
is
him
this guy?
dancing in the Capitol, doing his little two-step, hiding behind his hat.
I wonder if he can even two-step.
I don't know. That should be a requirement for any governor,
Yeah.
except for Governor Abbott.
No, I guarantee you he can two-step in that chair.
I bet. But he has an excuse. I'll give him an excuse. He gets to buy, So all right. So let us know what you think. Hey, if you like Beto, tell us why you like him. I want to know why somebody likes him, because I sure the heck don't.
Don't just tell me you like him because he's not Abbott. Don't just tell me you like him because he's a Democrat and you
Yeah.
want a Democrat running because the Republicans have always been in control. Tell me the reason that you would rather have Beto than Abbott.
Yeah, I heard that somebody, we loved him because he cussed somebody out. Yeah, that really makes us really proud.
Well, that's really
right?
good.
Yeah.
That's how you handle
I mean, he's not a soldier, he's not a sailor. I mean, we expect them to cuss people out, but not, whatever. So I think it's time to go, Coach. So from the coach,
To the vet.
it's time to stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.